Hey everybody, there is a new show premiering on the New Thought Media Network in January. Poetry, Prayer and Practice will feature authors, coaches and leaders encouraging you to explore spiritual practice in a variety of forms. It will be hosted by Tracy Brown, on Tuesdays at noon, Mountain Time. Sometimes she'll be interviewing people. Other times she will take you into spiritual practice herself. So mark your calendar and join her. Tuesdays, noon Mountain. In the meantime, here's a preview of the type of content you can expect.
It is such a pleasure, actually a pleasure and a lot of fun to be able to carve out just these few minutes with Paul Senn. And I want to jump right into some conversation with you, Paul, but I realize I know who you are, but the people watching don't. So why don't you give them just a snippet of who you are, and then we'll talk about why I wanted to visit with you.
That's beautiful, Tracy. Thank you. I'm excited because I thought it was a real privilege to be asked to be on your broadcast here, and I'm very pleased to be able to talk to you because it was a big pleasure. I'll say one thing about our whole experience that Tracy and I had together was working on a book together. We really enjoyed communing with each other and the whole group. And I got to that group by way of my background. I'll say I got to that group by admiring the work of Shailen Harkin, who is the poet that helped us put the book together. That's how I know Tracy. And how did I get to Shailen Harkin? I got to her because I've spent so much of my life as a seeker, one might say, looking for different forms of spirituality to find the one that resonates for me. And Shailen Harkin was a beautiful way to get there. But on that path, I've done many things in my life. I was a technology manager and a person for many, many years in a career in the ad media tech industry. And I found the people side of that was the most valuable because I ended up managing people. And I really started enjoying helping people with their career and things just in my job in that field. And so I became a mental health counselor, second career. And so now I'm a poet and a mental health counselor. That's how I define myself. And I love being here. Thank you, Tracy.
A poet and a mental health counselor. And isn't it true, though, that so much in our poetry is about helping people either stay sane or get sane?
So true.
So that makes sense. Maybe I'll add poetic mental health counselor to my list of titles.
Like
so
that.
I'm glad you mentioned that we worked together on this book, Bouquet of Stars. And like you, the poetry of Shailen Harkin had captured my attention. And I was curious about the process that she used just to, get to the powerful poems that she writes. And I think, like you, what I learned in the process, in the, months that we spent together sharing poems and giving feedback to each other on poems and writing poems from different prompts, that all of us got to see like the magic, right, in every poem and in every person. So it is my honor, really, to be able to talk to you and some of the others, sharing how poetry not just feeds us individually, but demonstrating how poetry connects to the emotion and the truth for the people who read it. So why don't you share a poem?
Oh, well, I love what you just shared there, Tracy, because that experience together, we worked through our poetry together, and that was really a powerful part of the whole thing. And so poetry is therapy. So, and I like to not take myself too seriously. So I thought I would choose a poem that celebrates a little bit of frivolity, but that's therapy too. So the poem is called No Dogs Allowed.
Oh, I love this poem. All right,
Okay.
share it.
Okay. No Dogs Allowed. This is a serious poem because, after all, we both know poetry is a serious business. No dogs allowed. I won't waste your time or try to drizzle-drazzle you with idle frizzle-frazzle. I don't just let anybody in here. No dogs allowed. Yeah, this one dog-eared, black-eyed, pea-brained schnauzer of a poem keeps coming around begging for rhymes, but I refuse to let him in. He has no class, and I know you are allergic. I only entertain the highest ideals here. You won't find any yipping, yammering, omanapana poodles, or graphic novella terriers, or flirty newfies in heat. No dogs allowed. Shirt and shoes required. Now that I'm a serious poet, I tolerate these puppies that keep wandering around the word hood. Sometimes I let them sit in the prologue or do tricks on Instagram. If they are really, really good, I translate them into French and read them to people who don't know French. But I will not let them throw me off my distinguished and well-honed style. I am, after all, now keeping the company of gods. I must be tolerant of the riffraff. I was once one of them. I still contain in me a terrified son of a sophisticated bitch collie. She hoped I would become so much more. And look, here I am, finally, a serious poet. Thank you.
I love that poem, and yes, I love it because it's in some ways very lighthearted. And for me, when I first heard it and then read it, it was so lighthearted, it made me go deeper.
I love that. I'm thankful for that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So how did it feel for you when you knew you had the seed for that, and then when you knew yeah, I can stop. This is it.
I have a couple different ways of creating, and I think that was one. It's one of those that you wake up with. I just woke up with it basically, and then I did when I wake up with something like that, I sometimes I'll record it into my phone, but I think I typed out probably twice the length of this poem, And then I do the exercise we talked about in our group, Tracy, of removing what is not the poem and just fine tuning. But that's sort of the process for that one. And it's actually, that's my favorite mode.
So I love that. No dogs allowed. And I want to encourage people to check out Bouquet of Stars at bouquetofstars.com or on any of the major booksellers, and look for Paul Senn and his poems in the book. So we're going to end right now. I just wanted to give people a little snippet of your energy and who you are, and I'm so glad you chose that poem to share.
Thank you so much. I love being here. Love your energy and what you're doing. Thank you, Tracy.
Visit bouquetofstars.com to purchase the book. And don't forget to mark your calendar for Poetry, Prayer and Practice, hosted by Tracy Brown. Tuesdays at noon Mountain Time. Beginning January 3rd.